Hey, I'm ofmyseat here, back again with another brand new video, and today I will be no damaging all the boss fights in the Lost Judgment DLC titled The Kaito Files. And fun fact about this fight, this first boss fight took me 2 hours and 20 minutes to no damage, and I will say that's not the longest it has taken me to no damage a boss fight in this game, well rather DLC. And well, the strategy here is this is kind of a tutorial fight for like your first fighting style. Not exactly tutorial, because like this is a DLC to a game which I'm assuming this game already assumes that you've played, so this isn't as easy as you'd like it to be. Like, I mean, this is kind of a challenging fight. I mean, to no damage. I mean, not exactly to beat. I mean, I'm sure it's pretty challenging to beat because you don't have that much health, but like, I don't know, for me, like, I've played so many Yakuza games that like having this much health is like plenty. But yeah, like the challenging thing about this fight is that it's a big group, and the main guy here is using a really fast fighting style. To be fair, he's also, the fighting style he's using is Daigo's from Kiwami 2, and I'm gonna be honest, I forgot which fighting style Daigo copied in Kiwami 2, if that's original or not. But yeah, I mean, it's a really fast fighting style, though it is also a fighting style that like shows up at the beginning of that game, and it also shows up at the beginning of this DLC. Now, these people, these pickup artists, I don't know why they're called pickup artists. Like, I mean, they're just kind of mean. They have a knife. They do, like, bad things. I don't want to call them pickup artists, so I don't know, like, why they're pickup artists. I mean, I hope this doesn't become, like, as obvious a misinterpretation as me saying that, like, oh, wait, spoilers for, like, the first Lost Judgment, Kuwana kills kids. I mean, I said that in my Lost Judgment video, and I got, like, pretty flamed for it. So yeah, he didn't kill those kids. He killed... Well, frankly, I'm not going to explain that. But yeah, this boss fight is just like... It's not even a boss fight. It's just two enemies. But, you know, I mean, this is a pretty short DLC. There's not that many boss fights, so I decided to include them. And, like, here, this is, like, the only time we're allowed to fight as Kaito in the past. So, like, I want to include it the same way I included Yagami fighting in his past. When he was, like... I don't know, in the first Judgment, well, I called it, when the first Judgment came out, I called it Judge Eyes, because that was like the original title in like Japan. But, you know, now I'm going to call it Judgment because like the sequel's called Lost Judgment. They're going to continue with that. Like, even in Japan, the sequel's called Lost Judgment, so we're just going to continue with that. But yeah, the strategy for the first fight is just kind of, you know, fight the group, kind of, you know, be careful, because some of those guys can attack really fast, and also be really careful with the boss fight. And in that first fight, I did something kind of tricky, where I would use a... When you activate like extreme heat mode and you press triangle, you have access to like a separate combo. And that combo is Kiryu's kick combo, and this combo can be used to make enemies juggle, like so, but it's inconsistent. It's not always going to work, especially against boss fights. Sometimes boss fights will get juggled by it, or sometimes the boss fight will dodge it and attack you. And like, yes, it also depends on which boss fight you're going to do it against, because some boss fights are easier to juggle with that than others. You know, I mean, the juggling in this game is a little inconsistent. Definitely more inconsistent than, say, Yagami's juggle potential. I mean, Kaito here, like, he just isn't as juggle, what's the word? As juggle adjacent? No, as, like, juggle, there's a good word for this. As, like, juggle heavy as Yagami. That's not the word, but we're just going to continue on with that. I just remembered who Daigo was copying in Kiwami 2 and who the first boss fight in this game is also copying. They're copying Yuta's fighting style from Yakuza 6. So in Yakuza 6, Yuta's fighting style was unique, but now everyone else has copied it and it's not unique anymore. So yeah, you know it's a good Yakuza game when you're fighting a group of brothers. I mean, you fought like a group of brothers in Kiwami 2, the 16-bit bros, and now we are fighting these guys, I forgot their names, but they're brothers, and I think that's what matters. So when you activate like extreme heat mode in the beast style, instead of doing a separate combo, when you press triangle, you just do a special grab, which is just kind of really big, fancy grab, which doesn't have that much use, but it's a pretty cool looking grab, and I love the effect that happens when everything slows down if you slam an enemy to the ground and they die. And yeah, the mortal reversals have returned. We pretty much dodge an enemy attack to do a big boom attack at them. And since Kaito only has two styles, he only has two types of mortal reversals. He does a big dive, or he does a big ground pound, which I haven't done yet with the beast style, because... Oh yeah, so I think it should probably mention that, yes, Kaito's two fighting styles are just a copy from Kiryu's in Yakuza 0, and when this game was, like, data mined, people found that out, and I wasn't too hot on it. I was like, oh, they're just gonna copy fighting styles for Kaito? Really? Like, come on. Like, we're gonna get, like, the Majima Saga again or something. Like, you know, it's like, oh, they're not gonna put enough effort in the DLC to, like, give him new fighting styles. And another thing that was worrisome was... Oh, no. It wasn't so much worrisome, but like in the very first Judgment, when you got to fight Kaito as a boss fight, he was just copying Kiryu's fighting style. So it was kind of a weird situation because it was kind of like, okay, so Kaito was using Kiryu's like brawler style in the first Judgment. You know, I mean, if they changed his fighting style in the DLC, that would be a bit weird. But also, if we got brawler in the DLC, that would also be a bit lame. But now that we have it, I'm not gonna lie, it's not really that big of an issue because what they've effectively done is they've made the fighting styles more fun to use in this game than in Yakuza 0. And it's like, that is not something I have been saying about the Dragon Engine games, like, ever. You know, like, my stance on the Dragon Engine games is that whenever, like, a previous fighting style has come back, it's been, like, less fun to use. But now, like, I'm saying the opposite. Like, I don't know, I think, like, Lost Judgment and also these Kaito files have kind of proven that, like, the Dragon Engine has come to a point where it's on par, or I'd say even better than like the old games when it comes to like combat. And like I'm really happy to say that. I've been like considering making a video on Lost Judgment. I mean, I think I said this in my Lost Judgment No Damage video, but I want to make a video on Lost Judgment, which will be like a continuation of my Kiwami rant, where I'll be more positive, because I do think the series is in a more positive place now. And now look, it's the guy copying Daigo, who's copying Yuta. He's come back, and he has a group where we're outside, so I can go get a motorcycle and I just freaking annihilate them. So I have not been talking much strategy at all. Like, oh no, I hope like what I've been doing is pretty self-explanatory. Like, I don't know, there are some like techniques in this game which are a little bit like out there. For one, the way to juggle enemies, none of them are as satisfying as I'd like them to be. Like, none of them are as consistent as I'd like them to be, but there are ways to do different types of juggles. I mean, one way to juggle is with the extreme heat mode, like Brawler. Oh yeah, by the way, in this game, they give the Brawler and Beast styles different names, but I don't remember those names, so I'm just going to call them Brawler and Beast. So one way to juggle is extreme heat mode. You press triangle with like Brawler and you can juggle them that way, though be sure to get a speed boost. So yeah, that's another thing. So mechanics from Lost Judgment have been added into this game, but not exactly in the same way, because Kaito is a much more aggressive fighter than say Yagami. Yagami's a lot more technical, a lot more dodgy, so the way Yagami gets a speed boost in like his combos is by dodging at the exact right moment, while Kaito, the way he gets a speed boost in his combos is by attacking the enemy right as they're attacking him. So you pretty much like, it's called a repel. So you press like square at the right time when an enemy attacks you, and you just slap them and you get a speed boost to your combos. So that is very nice. So I am very early in the game, and this game does not have New Game Plus because it's a pretty short DLC, though I still would have liked New Game Plus, so to be fair, doing New Game Plus in this game would have broken some of the earlier encounters. You know, I mean, these encounters are not too bad on like New Game, and that's one thing I like about these more like recent Yakuza games. I mean, especially Lost Judgment. Like, that's one thing I really like about Lost Judgment, is that you start the game and you don't feel useless. Like, you know, you start something like Yakuza 0, you start something like even the first Judgment, and you feel, like, pathetic. Like, you were so slow and sluggish, but, like, I mean, Lost Judgment and the Kaito files, just straight up from the get-go, you are so fast, you are so fluid, you feel like you can do anything in these games, just from, like, how mobile you can be, just straight up from the start. And yeah, like, you're not at your full potential, but you have so much potential from the start that the game is still fun. You know, it's not like you're, like, struggling to do combat. And, yeah, so that's one way you can juggle right there. Like pretty much the Brawler, like extreme heat mode. But there is another thing you can do with Brawler, which it does not require extreme heat mode, and it's pretty much square, 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 triangle, triangle. So that is another way you can juggle, and see, that's something which they added to like the Brawler style in this game. They added a couple new combos. It's just that they're kind of effectively useless a lot of the time, because pretty much square, like pretty much square, 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 triangle, triangle. That second triangle, that attack comes out so slow that most of the time boss fights will either attack you or they'll just like dodge that attack, which will make them juggle. It's like that attack does make them juggle, but it's just like it takes so long to come out. It feels like, why couldn't you make that attack faster? It's like, I'm trying to juggle these enemies. I'm not trying to, like, you know, pray for the RNG here. And that's kind of the thing. A lot of these juggles do depend on RNG. And then another way to do this is like the way to juggle enemies, which is probably like the best. Like, okay, the best way to juggle enemies, which also is the most technical, is juggling them with Beast. So Beast, they changed the way Beast works a bit. So, you know, it's like a little bit more usable in combat this time. And ooh, look at that dodge. That dodge was pretty sick. So the way to juggle with Beast is pretty much like square, hold square, and then you'll do like that big, like, you know, cartwheel motion, like the big circular motion. And that motion, if you land that attack correctly, it will make the enemy juggle. But you have to be very technical with it. You know, like, it's bound to fail. Like, even though like juggling with Beast is the best way to juggle, it's still like viable to like bad RNG, where the enemy will like block it, the enemy will like dodge it, and then you have to like react very quickly and like recover yourself. Sometimes when an enemy blocks it and you break their guard, you have to immediately switch to Beast again and then do it again as fast as possible. You also have to like, you know, like do the combo away from the enemy. Like if you hit the enemy like twice, they'll just dodge your attacks. That's the thing with the enemies in this game, or at least definitely boss fights, is that once you hit them like 2 times, like on the second time they'll like block your hit, and then they'll dodge or like counterattack and so. And like that strategy doesn't become important until way later in this video, where I actually like take advantage of it. So I'll bring it up again there. So yeah, one thing about the repel is I don't like it as much as like Yagami's perfect dodge, but it has its uses. It's just that the timing for the repel is really weird. But with Ninja Fortnite Man, I don't know, one thing which I tend to do, and it kind of works consistently, is I kind of back off from Ninja Fortnite Man, and if he's like the first one approaching me, like if you're in a really big group, and like one of the enemies just runs straight at you and the other ones don't exactly run as fast, well, the enemy that's running the fastest to you, that's the one which wants to attack you immediately. And since Ninja Fortnite Man over there is copying Mine's fighting style from Yakuza 3, well, Mine's attacks are super fast, especially in the Dragon Engine, where attacks tend to be faster, not gonna lie. You can kind of just dodge into him, and like with the iframes you have when you dodge into him, just press the attack button immediately, and like he's immediately gonna attack you if you dodge into him. And then boom, you have your repel. So I start to fight off, I repel him, and then I go into beast mode, and I just kind of go ham on the enemies around him. And like this doesn't always work, because like sometimes some of the enemies around him will get a little bit too aggressive. Sometimes they'll attack you. Like you see, I had some pretty good dodges there when I was in beast mode. You know, when one enemy was like about to clip me, I just straight up dodged that as beast. And like, yeah, Beast's dodge isn't exactly as elegant. You know, it's still not elegant, but it's much better than what it was in like Yakuza 0. Like Beast is like pretty viable now without getting like clipped, but you can still get clipped as Beast. But you know, that speed boost definitely helps a lot. So once that speed boost runs out, you can reclaim it, or you can kind of back off and like kind of strategize more with the enemies that are still alive and kind of go from there. And honestly, speaking about Beast, I like to get back to like the Beast juggle combo. I mean, I don't do it much in the beginning part of this video. I only really start doing it near like the end, like the second half portion of this video, just because like I prefer juggling with like the other, you know, ways of juggling, but you know, it's not always viable, especially with certain boss fights, which I kind of feel like designed against those type of juggles. But yeah, so I don't know, it's just like the beast juggling in this game honestly reminds me a bit of like the first Judgment, because there was this technique which I think Dante Devil 12, Pious Lee, like they were all doing this technique in Judgment with the flux fixture. So like the flux fixture in the first Judgment was this thing you could do where, you know, you press the attack button, but you hold it down, and like since you held down the attack button during your first attack, or your second attack, or your third attack, you know, so on and so forth, it meant that like you'll charge up the flux fixture and then you'll do the flux fixture attack. But most of the time when you're fighting boss fights, when you do that first attack, they'll dodge the first attack, and then when you try to do the flux fixture, they'll already be ready to like, you know, block it. So a workaround which like Dante Devil 12 and Pious Lee found was, instead of doing just the straight up first attack, they'll do like a quick step attack behind them, which is like really fast. So they'll already have the flux fixture charged by the time they do like the quick step attack, and then they'll like immediately turn around, do like a complete 180, do the flux fixture attack on the enemy, and then boom, that's how they did it. So they would stun the enemy, then they do like, you know, the 180 like quick step attack, and then they'll like do another 180 to do the flux fixture. And I found that so frustrating to do in like the first Judgment game, especially since I was like playing on the PS4 at like a very rocky 30 FPS. I'm very glad I have a PS5, but even if I didn't, like the PS4 version of like Lost Judgment runs a lot smoother than like the OG Judgment. The OG Judgment could be kind of a nightmare to control, not just because of the frame rate, just because the game felt a little bit more weighty, a little bit more like you were controlling a sack of rocks. Like, I don't know, like Yagami and Kaito feel a lot more weightless in the, like the Lost Judgment like engine. Well, it's the same engine, but you know, like they're not as like weighted down by like their weight, if you get what I'm saying. So I have just been like completely avoiding talking about strategy with this boss fight. So this guy, Kenmochi, if that's how you pronounce his name, his first fight is very annoying because he has like super armor, and to my knowledge, you can't really repel any of his attacks, so you can never get a speed boost on this guy. So it's like one of the most fun mechanics from like Lost Judgment and like, you know, the Kaito files is just gone with this guy, so it's like, you know, completely useless mechanic in this fight particularly. And it's just like, you can't really get that many combos on him because, you know, super armor, like, you know, you can get a few hits in there and then he'll do like his big swinging attack. You can't repel any of these big swinging attacks. It's a deadly weapon. It's like, you know, cool concept, but like execution, I mean, you know, and that would be fine by itself, but there's this one attack which like this boss fight has that is super duper annoying. If you attack him from the front, he'll just do this like stupid roll into you that'll like stun you, and then you'll be stunned, then he'll do an attack. It's just like the roll has like no build up to it. I mean, so you'll be attacking him and then suddenly roll, clipped, and it's just like, I hate that attack so much. This fight would be so much better without that stupid roll, but pretty much the way I handle this fight, I got a few combos in there, and then I'm like depleting my health. Like, I don't know, the Kaito Files has this move you can do with Beast where you just deplete your health. So instead of taking like drugs to like deplete your health, like in Yakuza 5, you just do it physically through sheer force of will. And it's also a pretty strategic thing to do because every time you do like that health depletion attack, you gain heat from it. So I'm pretty much like bringing my health down to the red, because once I'm in the red, the attack you do when they're on the ground is different and it deals more damage. You know, for this guy, there's not that much happening that's really interesting with the big super armor guy, so, you know, I just take him out like that. And then after that, I run at him with Beast and I press triangle. That's how you do that one attack where you like kind of do a tackle, like a grab tackle, but you don't actually grab him. So pretty much you do that and you put him in an agony state, I believe. And like, I don't know, in my Lost Judgment video, I called the agony state like the fear state, but it's not a fear state, it's an agony state. Like, I don't know, I mean, Lost Judgment had this thing, well, I think Yakuza 7 kind of introduced it, but Lost Judgment kind of modified it for, you know, real-time combat, kind of, you know, the status systems. You can be confused, you can be dazed, you can be freaking, I don't know if that's even true, but you can be in agony. And what agony does is that you can't dodge attacks. This counts for the boss fights and you, so if you're ever put into agony in this game, you are not allowed to dodge. So you can take advantage of that with the boss fights, because, like, you know, especially with boss fights like to dodge a lot, they can't do that anymore. So I don't know, I definitely took advantage of that in like OG like Lost Judgment. Here, I mean, it's kind of useful. I mean, it's pretty useful, but not that useful. I don't know, it kind of messes up the timing for certain things in certain areas. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, pretty much like once the boss does this big mortal reversal attack, you know, Kenmochi, I can do that red health attack, and then from there I kind of mix up the combos here and there. It's like there's not that much to talk about with that guy. So here we're fighting the guy from Ishin. He's copying one of the final boss fights in Ishin, and it is very annoying. This like fighting style shows up so much, and I hate it. And yeah, the mortal attacks are not perfect. Sometimes they glitch out like that. I mean, that also happened in, like, you know, Lost Judgments, and it also happened in Kaito Files, though. To be fair, I mean, like I don't know, Lost Judgment and the Kaito Files have like issues in their combat systems, which aren't really issues until like a certain fight where they become issues. And well, that fight's coming later in this video. I'll definitely talk about that. Though this fight is also pretty annoying. It's like during a long battle, and like thankfully, just like Lost Judgment, the legend mode in this game doesn't force you to redo the entire long battle if you fail one boss fight in that long battle. So I can just restart this fight as many times as I want, but you know, it's an annoying fighting style, and then they're like, okay, let's introduce like 3 enemies with guns, and it's just like, what are you doing? Like, stop this. And to be fair, this is not this game's worst offense with guns. It gets worse from here on out. And now I'd like to mention something else. So, this game brings back the stealth sections briefly. I mean, this is a pretty short, like, little DLC package. It's only like freaking 4 to 5 hours, though it is a packed 4 to 5 hours, and what it is packed with is a really nice and compelling story. Though I'll talk about the story later. I want to bring up the stealth sections again. So the Kaito Files adds kind of a really basic thing which like the original game should have had. So during the stealth sections, when you get caught, you have like this chance to knock the enemy out. So like you'll take damage when you're caught, but you'll be able to take him out before, you know, being depleted, being like eliminated forever. Because I don't know, when you got caught in like Yagami's like side of things, it just ended it immediately. You didn't have a chance for a counterattack. But with Kaito, you do have a chance to counterattack. It's just like, that's just good stealth, you know? I mean, you don't want your stuff to be stagnant. You want to have like some way to counterattack the enemy. Yeah, I mean, there's ghost runs. You can do your ghost runs, but it's like, you know, having like flexibility in your systems is a good thing. I mean, it's still a very basic railroady stealth system. Like, it's still not good, but this is an improvement. You know, it's like a a good concept, a good thing to carry over if they're gonna continue with like this stealth gimmick, which they got going on with like Lost Judgment and in the Kaito files here. And here, this isn't really an important boss fight, but I decided to include it because it's like the only time you're gonna see Kaito fighting in a big old suit over here. You know, very nice tuxedo suit, and it's like I could have brought the suit over for like some of the next boss fights, but instead of doing that, I'm just gonna bring it here. You know, add some variety with the suits in this video. I mean, like, you know, the variety is very limited, but I do want to have some variety going on. And yeah, this guy is copying like one of the wrestling movesets, which I'm not sure if it's like unique or not. I mean, it definitely appeared in Yakuza 6, that's all I'll say. But I don't know if it's exactly unique. I don't know. No, I think I've seen this fight. No, it's not unique. I've seen this fighting style in Yakuza 4, no, Yakuza 0, and like the only changes that like they made to it in Yakuza 6 was that they got like unique grab attacks, but the combo is not unique. Yeah, that is a Yakuza 0 combo if I've ever seen it. I don't know if it showed up in Yakuza 5 though, but it definitely showed up in Yakuza 0. Like, this fight is like a glorified like street fight, and that kind of brings me to my next point. When you die in a street fight on Legend in the Kaito files, it loads you back from your last save point, and I hate this because like there's certain boss fights that are like, you know, just street fights. They're designed as street fights, so when you fail that boss fight, you have to pretty much load up your last save point. But in order to load your last save point, and in order to do that boss fight again, you have to like respawn them, and it's like, well, actually that comes later in the video, but it's like, it's very annoying, and I hate it. And it's just like, if you're gonna like, you know, like, I just want to restart the fight which I was in. I don't want to like restart from my last save point, you know, in the overworld. Like, come on, man, like, let me restart the fight. And that was a very funny roll, very nice like collision detection there. So this fight's pretty annoying. So this main guy here, like, his moveset's like, but like the most annoying thing about this fight are these two enemies over here. So the baton guy, he's not too bad, but sometimes he'll get a really fast attack in there. Like, he'll just swipe you really fast with a baton, and it's like, that's annoying. But he's not the worst part of this fight. The worst part of this fight is this guy in the green coat, because like he just has this like thing he does where if you attack him from the front, he'll just super armor through like some of your attacks. At some point when you're attacking him from the front, he'll just straight up like armor through it and then just do his own combo. He'll dodge, he'll like make you like stagger for a bit, and it's just like, what an infuriating fighting style like that guy in the green coat has. Like, you have to get rid of him very quickly, but it's like, you can't go like combo mat on him because he has that annoying ass attack. And like sometimes, just like the baton guy, he'll just clip you because his attacks are so fast and come out of nowhere. It's like, I hate that guy. So it's like, not only are you dealing with, okay, so the Dragon Engine has made like enemies which are like of larger build even more annoying. Like, I mean, that still applies even with like Lost Judgment's like great combat. They still made like the fat enemies like, you know, very tanky and all that, because like, you know, funny video game, haha. But yeah, we're just gonna end this fight here right now. Boom, it's over. He does a little flip, very nice. I'd like to mention that I really love the speed at which you get upgrades. Like, I don't know, every battle actually feels rewarding because like you're rewarded with a lot of points because, you know, it's so short and there's like no side content. So pretty much like all the points you get are like from main content or from street battles, and it's just like you need to get a lot of points to get all the upgrades in this game, and getting all the upgrades is required for one of the fights. So it's just like, you know, you need to do it. No, like, I mean, they need to give you a lot of points, and it's just like, it's so satisfying because, you know, like, I mean, in some of the previous Yakuza games, I do like a boss fight, and I get, you know, I get like some points, but it doesn't really matter because the amount of points I'll get, which are actually substantial, is in the side content. But here, like, nah, I do like a boss fight, and I get a ton of points, and I can actually upgrade like multiple things all at once. That's so cool. So here's the thing I do with like boss fights. Whenever they go into like heat mode and they're doing like their big fancy taunt animation, I just do like a full combo with like my brawler, like extreme heat mode combo. And here, I'm not gonna juggle this guy. You wanna know why I'm not gonna juggle this guy? Because he's infuriating to juggle. So, like the second phase of Kenmochi here, he's like specifically designed to like, you know, negate you like juggling him with your brawler extreme heat mode combo. Now, he is possible to juggle with like the beast like, you know, juggle maneuver, but at this point in the video, I was not that experienced with it, and honestly, I kind of just wanted to have a full-out slugfest with this guy. Like, I'm just hitting him with combos, just dodging, hitting him, boom. I think it's sick. I don't know. I think I made up for like the style of not having juggles with, you know, the style of just going ham on this guy in the pool. I really wanted to have like a brawl out with this guy in the pool. That was very important for me. Like, I mean, I needed to fight this guy in the pool because this pool's got such cool lighting. It's like, this QTE even knows it. Like, check out this like little dynamic little QTE thing here. Oh yeah, that reminds me. The dynamic like intros and stuff in this game, I'm not gonna lie, they do feel kind of cheap. I mean, they're not bad, honestly. They're pretty dope, but like the animations do feel a lot rougher than like your typical like mainline Yakuza release. I don't know, they kind of remind me of like Kiwami and Kiwami 1, or even like the PS2 game animation. They just kind of have like that roughness to them, and it's like, I wonder if that's a corner cut because this is a DLC, and it's like, honestly, it was a corner cut that doesn't affect the game that much. I don't know, I do not mind it all that much, especially since they still did some pretty great work with like the dynamic intros, even with how rough like the facial animations and like motions can be at points. Like, I don't know, just like the way they set things up and frame them, like, honestly makes up for it. And this fight sucks. So for this fight, I upgraded my attack to level 2. And I will mention that for every single previous fight before this point, I did not upgrade my attack at all, except for when I got to the part with, wait for it, when I got to like the fight with the big stick man and the fight with like the Kuze copy. I upgraded, I got the upgrade which makes you deal more damage with like the weapons. You know, with like environmental weapons. Like I have that upgrade, but I did not get the upgrade to like upgrade my, you know, attack level until this fight. I hope that made sense. So here's something annoying about this game. So once a fat enemy picks up a bike in the Kaito files, it's over. Like, I mean, there's just going to be an infuriating mess to deal with. And it's like, you know, in Lost Judgment, there was a way to disarm, like, you know, fat enemies which like carried, like, bikes or, like, you know, big barrels. You just grab them and disarm them. But with Kaito, I don't know how you disarm them. I don't think there is a way to disarm them. It's like, the annoying thing about this fight is that you have this guy copying Murase from, like, you know, the first Judgment. And his moveset, you don't really notice it because you just beat him so fast. But here, he has so much health that now you're noticing that this guy has so many fast attacks. And it's just like, like, he's infuriating to deal with. And you also have to deal with like the other guy who has Daigo's moveset, which is just super fast. And it's just like, they both have like quite a bit of health. And it's just like, you're in a room where sometimes they'll like throw couches at you, and then you start the fight off in like a room which you have to break out of. And it's like, sometimes when you're breaking out of the room, they'll hit you before you even get out of the room. It's like, what an infuriating fight. Though I did end it pretty nicely here, where, you know, I just kind of did this heat action. This heat action is just gonna kill him like that. Boom, bam, pow. So remember that move which like depletes your health in order to gain heat? So you can actually like kill yourself with that move. So if you do that move too many times, you will actually die. So it's been a pretty effective way to like restart certain fights when, you know, I took damage, but it's also like you can just kill yourself with that. Like, I mean, there's no point where like the game says, okay, you're just gonna have like the minimum amount of health possible. No, you just die. So that's crazy. So yeah, in the previous fight, I did have level 2 attack, but in this fight, I have no upgrades, except for like the weapon one. So, you know, like, I mean, I'm kind of playing around with my save files here and there. So certain fights, I'll have my attack upgrade, and certain fights, I won't have my attack upgraded, because it's like, I don't want to like destroy Tamashiro like that badly. I will say one thing about this fight is that this guy is so annoying to juggle. I swear, like, the only ways I've been able to juggle this guy is by starting off like the juggle with like a weapon. If I don't start the juggle off with a weapon, this guy tends to just slam his gravity to the ground. It's like with this guy, unless you like start the juggle combo with a weapon, like the weapon I used in like this video, he just straight up like he actually obeys the rules of gravity, and it's infuriating. It's like, bro, let me like levitate. Come on, man. So this is a pretty short like DLC package, like I mentioned before. Like, I mean, we're already in the final chapter. Like, I mean, the previous, you know, 29 minutes of this video, that was chapters 1 through 3. In terms of boss fights. And I have to mention that the tailing mission in chapter 3 is horrendously long, like judgment level bad. It's like the only one in the game, but it's like, it was so annoying. And I have to mention something. So this game does have the tiger drop. Oh, not the tiger drop. It has like the Brawler's version of the tiger drop. But unlike Brawler in Yakuza 0, it has no iframes. Like, okay, so like in Yakuza Kiwami, the Brawler like tiger drop had no iframes, and it's like they decided to bring that back. Like, what? Why? That was one of the worst things about Kiwami 1. Like, the tiger drop should have iframes. Like, I mean, yeah, it's a little ridiculous, but it's like I don't want to like deal with like Yakuza 3 and Yakuza 4. Like, oh, you have to time it right. Like, no. Like, if I land it, I timed it right. I don't have to like time it extra right. Like, get out of here, man. So, anyways, for all the fights in this hotel, besides like the the actual final boss of this hotel, I have my abilities fully upgraded. So yeah, this is like max attack, max upgrades. Like I'm only missing like 1 or 2 upgrades, but like everything else is fully upgraded. You know, max attack, max every other like passive ability. We're going crazy with this. The only thing I don't have for this fight is for like these fights is equipment. I have no equipment put on. However, there's a certain fight in this level that I do put equipment on, and I will tell you which fight it is because I needed the biggest advantage for one of the fights in this level, which is it's quite insane. I will say that. Oh yeah, so one annoying thing about the combat in this game. Wait, I'll mention one thing. So I did not do this in one go. So like the first Fortnite Ninja Man, like Fortnite, like ninja fight, which you do in this level, I did that, and then like I tried to do the second one here, and then I died. And whenever you die, when you're fighting him for the second time here, it just reloads you for the second time, so that's how I'm doing it. You know how like in Yakuza 4, there's like Saito freaking 3 and Saito 4, and they're like separate fights. If you die the 4th one, they restart you the 4th one. Well, same deal here. That's what's going on here. So I kind of edited it to be more seamless, but I did not do it in one go. I just wanted to clarify that. So yeah, I wanted to mention. So I really don't like how you can't stop Kaito from using weapons while in beast mode. Like, you could stop Kiryu in Yakuza 6 from doing it by holding down the L2 button, but that is not the case here. So I don't know if there is a way to stop him from using the weapons, but I really wish there was, because like sometimes you want to do like beast combos, not weapon combos, especially since some of the weapons around you in your area are kind of unpredictable, or just sometimes don't have combos that are good for juggles. It's just like, I want to do that combo, I don't want to do the weapon combo sometimes, so it's like, help me out here. Like, man, like, come on. Give me my like normal beast combos. Give me the ability to like not do weapon combos. And now I've kind of run out of what I want to say for commentary at the exact moment, because it's like, this fight's pretty boring. It's like, I don't even know if I should have included it, but I just kind of felt like, usually when I do like these first like no damage videos, I want to include like every boss like possible. It's like, hey, look at that guy. He has like a boss health bar, right? Like, I mean, hey, that health bar is longer than some of the beginning boss fights in the beginning of this game, or... Well, not really. They're about like this guy's health bar is about the same as like Fudo's, and it's like, okay, it might as well include him. It's like, he's annoying. The enemy next to him is annoying. It's like, oh, this guy, he has Kanda's moveset, but no, not Kanda's moveset. He has Kanai's moveset from like Yakuza 5, and like his moveset, like Kanai's moveset in Yakuza 5 is pretty easy to counter. I mean, it's just you don't have the best counter in Yakuza 5 against Kanai, but like, like he has like that really dumb like hand swipe like attack, which I mean I'm sure can deal some massive damage if you know how to use it in real life or whatever, but it's like, it's slow, it's easy to counter. So like I try to bait it out, and it's just like he does completely different attacks. Like this guy has attacks which are like not Kanai's attacks. Like they're like way faster, like way more out of nowhere. It's just like, and when he grabs you can't really do anything about it unless you're like extra prepared with like the right style and the right heat action. It's like, that's the thing. Like I mean, if you're in the brawler style, you can't exactly counter when they grab you, but if you're in the beast style, you can kind of do a heat action sometimes, or you could like do a grab reverse. So it's just like, most of the time I'm fighting in my brawler style, and it's like, I don't know if I mentioned it yet, like, yeah, Beast does have more use. Like, hell, I'm gonna use Beast right now, but before I use Beast, I have to take out this guy with the gun. Because, like, okay, one thing I do not like about Judgment and Lost Judgment is that they made guns, like, a lot more annoying. I mean, it's like, they were really annoying in Yakuza 0 and Kiwami 1, and thankfully, one of the positive things I can say about Kiwami 2 and Yakuza 6 is that they made guns, like, not very effective. As in, they made, I mean, yeah, they're dangerous, but, like, they don't, like, immediately kill you. But in this game, they, like, immediately kill you, and it's like, dude, what are you doing? I hate you. But whatever, we got rid of that guy, and then I got a speed boost from kind of like triggering this boss fight here. And here I'm going to do something very risky with the kicks. I mean, I've been doing it for most of this video. I'm just doing my lovely little kicks, but I need my speed boost to do the kicks, because if I don't have the speed boost, it makes the RNG like a lot less in my favor. And like, look at that, I just took out all those people, and like the juggle didn't work, but I'm taking out all these people. Like, I just took out this entire crowd like that, lickety split. Yes, I am fully upgraded at the moment, but like, there we go. And here I'm going to do like this one combo that immediately kills him. Boom, sidesteps, change, bam. Very nice. I really like this combo, which I just did there. It's like, Very powerful, but yeah, I mean, despite the upgrades which Beast got, there is still kind of like a power imbalance going on. Like, then the power imbalance was kind of happening in the first Judgment game because, like, the Tiger style, like Yagumi's Tiger style, was a lot more effective than Crane. Like, most of the time you'd just be fighting in Tiger unless you were like deliberately going out of your way to include Crane in like your fancy combos and all that. And Lost Judgment definitely fixed that, like, you know, issue in, you know, because, like, now Crane actually is, like, a lot more viable than it used to be in the OG Judgment. But here we have the issue with, like, you know, Brawler being kind of the most viable out of all the styles. I mean, hopefully, if we ever get to play as Kaito again, hell, maybe if another Judgment game comes down, we get to actually play as multiple, and we actually get to play as multiple protagonists. That's going to be awesome. Anyways, this fight! So, okay. The final group fight in the final long battle of the game is horrible. If there is anything wrong with the combat, it shows up here. Primarily, the lack of iframes for things that should have a ton of iframes. Like, dog, I should not be getting clipped immediately after doing the counter. That gives me a speed boost. That shouldn't be a thing. Plus, mortal reversals having no iframes sucks too. Like, dude, like, I mean, you don't even notice that, like, your repel move in this game has no iframes. You know, like that move where, like, you press square and you get a speed boost? You don't even notice that it doesn't have any iframes because most of the time you do it and the enemies don't clip you. But in this room, when there is so much garbage around, like, yeah, you're gonna get hit, and it's like you realize you don't have iframes when you do that. Like, you do it and then you immediately get clipped. It's just like, and, like, this green guy right here, I hate this green guy because, oh, this green guy and, like, the guy in, like, the black coat and, like, the white shirt, horrible moveset. They just, like, immediately clip you. They have, like, super armor. They dodge. Despise them. So, yeah, this fight, it's, like, it's 3 groups, and, like, you have to, like, in the beginning of this fight, you have to, like, immediately take out the guy with the gun, because if you don't, it's just going to be a massive nuisance. It's just, like, and it's not just one guy with the gun, though. It's like the worst guy with the gun is indeed like the boss fight. Like, the other 2 guys aren't too bad, but they can be like pretty sinister. They can pull some pretty sinister stuff. And here, like, pretty much take out the guy with the gun, take out the boss fight with the gun, take out the 2 guys with the gun, then go for the palm trees, like the little plant things. So that's like the best weapon to use against these guys. And then pray you don't get clipped when you're doing your little weapon combos with the palm tree or like the plant. I don't even care what it's called. This is a horrible fight. And by the way, this is the only fight in the game where I use equipment. I got the best equipment in the game. I got like this like demonic I don't even know how to say, like fudoshi or something, like underwear or whatever. Like, it's like demonic. You find it like in a dumpster somewhere in the game, and then boom, that gives you an attack boost. I bought 2 items from the pawn shop which give you like attack boosts, and like that was my equipment. Then I had like one other thing which I forgot about, but it's like, you know, all my equipment, attack boost, you know, like, you know, get more heat, and it's just like all so I can get the best chance to kill. Oh, dude, I'm like, I screamed so hard I got a little hiccups. So let me try that again. To kill. I'm getting hiccups. Oh my god, I can't finish that sentence. Oh, how do the voice actors do it? They're like, to kill. So yeah, like I mentioned it before, but don't even think about doing any mortal reversals, because like while you're doing it, like that long animation of like tackling the boss fight or like jumping on them, like the other enemy's just gonna clip you while you're getting up, getting down, just the whole process, you're gonna get clipped, and it's gonna be very frustrating and annoying, just bad. And yeah, activating heat mode here doesn't do that much, but what it does do is that whenever you kill an enemy, it has this like neat slowdown effect that makes the video look cooler, just like that. I really like that effect. So, you know, I decided to activate heat mode just for that. And it's just like, I mean, I guess that's like one issue with like these Yakuza, recent Yakuza games, like the boss fights, like they're not all like unique, you know. Sometimes it's like put a big group in an area and it's just like there's no strategy to that, you just get lucky. I mean, yeah, there's like approaches you could take, but those approaches are never like consistent, you know. There's no consistent way to do these fights because these fights don't act consistent. It's like, yeah. Anyways, check out the only dynamic intro in the game. Michiko, 離れてろ。
いたぶって楽しむ時間はなさそうだ。警察が来る前に片をつける。
So yeah, this dynamic intro is great, except for that stupid ass sound effect with the knife where it goes like, wee, 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 pew, like get out of here with that. But like the rest of that was so dope, and like this fight, pretty dope. Like final boss, or at the very least, it's not exactly the final boss, but it's like the second to last final boss. But you know, it's like a very typical but like awesome like final boss. You know, like Yakuza style final boss, and that's the thing with this game. Like so much of it is like Yakuza styled. And I mean, like, Judgment and Lost Judgment have stories which are kind of different from, like, the typical Yakuza norm. This feels a little bit more in tone with, like, a typical Yakuza story. And it's great. Like, it's a really great, like, Yakuza-styled story. And I'll get more into that later. So, the strategy for this fight, I'm doing it at attack level 0. I mean, if I mentioned before in this video that I did some of the previous fights with, like, attack level 1, I was lying. I got 0 upgrades. Except for the parts which I did get upgrades, you know, like attack level 2, attack level 3, I did get those parts, but for every single other part, it was attack level 0, and this is attack level 0. So the combo I'm doing here is kind of full combo, switch, do a combo there, and instead of like dodging into him, I'll instead like style switch to reset my combo. I'll do 3 hits, and then I'll wait for him to get to the ground, and then I'll like counter him with like my perfect guard here. And like the perfect guard, you have to like hit the block button twice. You can't just hold it down and it'll work. No, you have to time it actually. So, you know, learn the timings there, and you can do like the heat action counter attack. The reason I didn't do that heat action counter attack at the very beginning is because like I did a heat action, and like doing it immediately after you did a heat action, it doesn't show up sometimes. So instead of doing the heat action, I do the bear hug. And that is the only time I do the bear hug in this video. So like, I mean, this fight, honestly, I tend to utilize a lot of my moveset. Sadly, that juggle I just did, it is the only juggle I'm going to be doing for this boss fight. But honestly, like, this boss fight is just inconsistent to juggle. I mean, even the juggle I did right there, like, I mean, he like guard broke me. No, he didn't guard broke me. I broke his guard. And, okay, wait. I wanted to not talk during this part because it's a really cool dynamic intro. No, that's not a dynamic intro. That's like a dynamic little QTE section. The only bad part about this QTE is that for some reason, they decided to bring back like Lost Judgment's QTE system. We have to like press multiple buttons at once for like this one section. I hate that system so much, and like I'm glad that this game kind of got rid of it for most of its fights, except for this fight. And to be fair, this fight, I mean, it does kind of feel like a Judgment boss fight, you know, like fighting Kuroiwa, it kind of has that same vibe. Fighting Soma kind of has that same vibe as him. And okay, so here, what I just did there is I kind of did the beast grab move you can do where you dodge and grab into someone. And sometimes the enemy will behave just like they behaved there, but other times they won't, and it's kind of inconsistent. So here, if you do this like big jump on the enemy twice, when they get up, there'll be an opportunity to do this bitch slap thing, and like it's awesome. And the reason it's awesome is because I pretty much get to do like 3 separate like you know, takedown moves for like the most effective damage done to this enemy, because like, he's got a bunch of health bars. I have like no attack upgrades. You know, you got to be like stylish, you got to be like, you know, smart with it, and yeah. So yeah, believe me, this fight was a pain in the ass to no damage. It took like 6 hours, but honestly, it was pretty worth it. It's just like you know, it gets me hyped. You know, like spending 6 hours on this is like, you know, you're working towards something. But spending 6 hours on like the previous fight in this video, that's just misery. That feels like it's never gonna end. But for this one, it's like extremely challenging, but it's like, you know, you're like getting better at it. You're learning his movements. You know, there's like a tangibility to your success. Previous fight, there is no tangibility. Like the previous fight is like postmodern in like the worst sense possible. Like, you know, reality has like fractured. Like there is no ground. It sucks. It sucks. Like there is good things that are postmodern. Like apparently Pulp Fiction is postmodern. Inland Empire, it has a really funny face. That's a movie with like a really funny face in it. And that movie, I probably consider it postmodern because it confused me more than Pulp Fiction. Like those, I consider those very good things, but that gunfight, I consider that pretty much negative of postmodernism. Oh yeah, also watch out whenever you like deplete your health bar, because I chose very specific moments to do it. Because like when Kyoya there goes into like heat mode, sometimes he'll just run towards a wall and jump off of it, and whenever he jumps off towards a wall, he'll jump across the map to slash you, so you have to dodge it. So you can't exactly like be far away from him. No, he's gonna like pretty much fly over to your destination. So if you do like that, you know, health depletion attack, and like you're not in like, you don't have like the ability to dodge it, well, you're screwed. So, you know, I only like depleted it once when he entered heat mode, and I waited for him to jump off the wall, and then I also waited for him to kind of get to the point where he would do his next like mortal reversal attack, and then I like, you know, kind of dodge away from him and like deplete my health. So, you know, just be careful with that. Anyways, this is not the first time I fought this street guy. This is actually my second attempt after beating the third guy. And the reason I included my second attempt is because it is a much better attempt than my first one. So for like these strongman fights, I did them in a pretty lazy way, I'm not gonna lie, just because like they're a bit of an infuriating bunch, these guys. Like, you have to go to a cat, and the cat has to give you this bloody crest. You have to equip that crest, and once you equip that crest, these guys will spawn in sometime. So you pretty much have to make it that these guys spawn in. And the way I did it was that I reloaded my save, but this game doesn't have a load button. You just have to go to the main menu. So I quit to the main menu, I load it up, and like I keep doing that until these guys show up. And it's like, I don't know if there was a more efficient way to do this. Like, maybe a way that was more efficient was, like, you know, traveling through taxis? Maybe, because that does kind of take you out of the world and reload it, you know, because it's like, you know, these guys spawn in, you know, at a certain point, you know, sometimes you want to reset enemies. I mean, the way you would do that in, like, the OG Yakuza games by entering stores in and out, but since everything is seamless now, that's not an option anymore, at least not to my knowledge. Also, I hate Pipe Kuze's moveset. He still sucks here. Like, Pipe Kuze sucks in the Dragon Engine. He sucked in, like, OG Judgment if he existed there. He definitely sucked in Lost Judgment. Hated that fight. And he's still pretty annoying here. Not the worst, but it's just like, I still hate this guy. Like, stop bringing Pipe Kuze over. It's you know, it's done. It's tried. It sucks. Don't repeat it. Like, get out of here with that. So yeah, maybe doing the taxi thing might have been more efficient, but I only really learned about the taxi thing after I beat these three guys and no damage them. So it's just like, aww. Also, I forgot to mention this, but the only dynamic intro in this game has different voice lines for the title drop, which is kind of weird. So like sometimes the main guy will go like, "Ikuzo!" or sometimes he'll go, "Hurriya!" So it's just like, it's a bit random, well, what the villain says in that dynamic intro. And I don't know, it's just like a weird little thing I noticed when I kept repeating the fight over and over and over. Also, something which that final, like that Kyoya could do is that he had this little spray can, and if he like sprayed you with that spray can, you had this like status effect over your head, and I don't know what that status effect is called exactly. You kind of have like these like black and yellow clouds over your head, but what I noticed is that when you have those black and yellow clouds over your head, if you successfully do a repel, instead of actually getting a speed boost, the Kyoya just slaps you. So whenever you do a repel, you get damaged if you have that status, that status effect over your head, man. That is so annoying, man. And anyways, this guy is copying Akutsu, if that's how you pronounce his name, from Lost Judgment, and wow, I hate fighting this guy as like Kaito. Like, honestly, his fighting style in like OG Lost Judgment wasn't even like that good, but Yagami, you know, it felt a little bit more suited to fighting him as Yagami, because you just kind of dodge him, you know, he has like very slow attacks, and it's like, okay, but here it's like your only way to counter him is with a repel, but it's like, this guy is so grabby. So it's like most of the time he's trying to grab you. So it's like, you know, how are you going to repel this guy if most of the time he's trying to grab you? So it's just like, ugh, what an annoying, infuriating fight. And I definitely played it in a rather boring fashion. But one way I like to spice things up is just by bringing in these different costumes. And look at this. This guy's got no shoes on. This dude's got the feetsies out, bro. He's got the dogs out. Like, look at that. I went to see Top Gun, and there was this chick, like, in our bottom row, and she had her fucking dogs out. Like, dude, you're in a movie theater, bro. Show some respect. Like, this isn't a Tarantino movie. This is a John movie. I forgot the name of the director. His name is, I think his guy is called Joseph, and he directed Tron Legacy, which I was a little surprised to hear about. Like, he directed Tron Legacy, and now he directed a new Top Gun. And okay, did you just see that? So, Purple Man here, he just got ran over by the car. You can see it. Like, I mean, he didn't, like, he kind of tried to, like, no-sell the fact that a car ran over his foot, but if you see his health bar, he took damage from it. So it's like, that's really funny. And that could have happened to me. Is the funny thing is, if I was a little too close to that car, I would have gotten run over. Because like ever since Yakuza 7, you can get run over by cars and take damage from said cars. That was like an impossibility before like Yakuza 7, but now it is all too true. So there was something else I wanted to mention. I have not talked anything about the story, but I love this game's like story and cast. Like, I don't know, I mean, Kaito's been a pretty cool character, but he also feels like, you know, like, you kind of need to do something with him. He doesn't have, like, the complexity of, like, Yagami, you know? Like, Yagami's a really great main character. Now, this game, it kind of brings more to Kaito's character. It's really nice. It's just, like, the whole story kind of feels like the team wants to do Yakuza 1 again, but, you know, like, you know, switch it up, you know, like, with the experience they have now, you know, like, kind of bring in new techniques. I don't know where the hell I'm going with that, but it's like, you know, it's kind of like the Haruka story again, but instead of Haruka, it's like this 14-year-old Cardi fan, and like that's Kaito's like estranged son. Though he's not really his son by blood, but you know, like a big theme of this series is, you know, like family beyond blood. So it's just like we're continuing that in a cool way. And like the main love interest, what's her name? Excuse me. Mikiko. Her name is Mikiko, and she's awesome. So she's kind of like a mix of like Yumi from Yakuza 1 and Kaoru from like Yakuza 2. So it's like, you know, she's kind of like the main, you know, old love interest for Kaito, which like Kaito kind of abandoned somehow. I mean, Kiryu abandoned Yumi because he went to jail for a long time. Kaito, he like actually abandoned her because he had to do something for like his Yakuza outfit and all that. So it's like, you know, a really cool, engaging story. But then like she, you know, she gets caught up in this murder mystery. And it's just like she's such an engaging character to like follow. It's just like, you know, Yumi could be a little like inactive sometimes, and like she only really gets to do cool stuff like at the very end of the game where they info dump everything on you. But like with this new character Mikiko, she's doing a lot of similar stuff as like Yumi, but she's a little bit more involved. It isn't all like info dumped on you by like Kazuma. Like, you know, you actually have to see some of it in action, and that's awesome. I wish I could go more into the story, but it's like these no damage videos are not the best format for it. Anyways, here we're fighting Shin Shinada. So who exactly is Shin Shinada? So after Yakuza 5, like at the very end of Yakuza 5, Shinada got laid so hard that the Ryuga Gotoku, like the Ryuga Gotoku Studios, had to lay off Shinada from ever appearing in Yakuza again. But the fans really wanted Shinada to come back, so here is his spiritual successor, Shin Shinada, and he is just a wonderful final boss fight. Like the way I describe this fight, it's weird. I describe this fight as comfy because it's like it's a lot lighter in tone than like any of the other Yakuza final bosses. I mean, like the circumstances here are nowhere near as dire. Like here we have Shin Shinada. He's like simping super hard for like your ex-girlfriend who's now going to be like your actual girlfriend, or I mean, who knows how this storyline's gonna develop. They might just ignore it in the next Judgment game. You know how they tend to treat things from previous games. And here I'm trying to bait out this attack here. It's just like, and also in terms of gameplay, like this fight hits a really nice sweet spot between like, you know, challenging and engaging, but also like not frustrating. Like it is easier than like Kyoya, but I don't care. I just love this fight. You know, it's like fun. It's fun to hit this guy. Like, this guy just feels like he was designed to be punched in the face, and like I just really like that. Like I don't know, it's just like this freaking, what's that fancy word which all the video essayists use? Like juxtaposition? No, not that one. Like kinesthetics or whatever. This fight, so dope kinesthetics. I just really love this fight. Like there's very few things I don't like about this fight. Like I love that he has this one attack where he like goes into a big charge mode and does like this one super punch, because whenever he does that, that's an amazing moment to do like the beast juggle combo, and it's just like, I love that. Like, you know, like I mean, he gives you an opportunity to punch him, and like here, like I mean, I'm just trying to bait it out by just doing normal punching combos. You know, it's like I'm combining all my strategies from like fighting Kenmochi, like Kyoya, just like I'm just varying things up all the time. Once he like, you know, hits that final health bar, it's like. Also, like, I did call this guy Shin Shinada, but he also has some, like, spiritual successions to Nishiki. Because, you know, like, I think about it like this. Like, you're both fighting for, like, the woman you love, and, like, that happened in, like, the first Yakuza, but, like, in the first Yakuza, it was a much more sad, you know, like, depressing fight. While here, it's, like, much more lighthearted, you know, you're doing it out of, like, you know, freaking the commitment, man. Like it's not like negative, you know, this dude wants to fight you because he respects you, know, it's out of respect. And it's just like, this is like an alternate universe where like Kiryu and Nishiki don't hate each other, you know, they're fighting out of like, you know, pure mutual respect. And it's like, it's extremely cheesy. I mean I won't lie, this is an extremely like cheesy setup, but like I just love it. It's honestly nice to have like a really cheesy, like happy little fight in comparison to like all like the heartache and like death and depression that happens in like all the other Yakuza games. You know, it's like, that's what I'm saying. This game is so aware of like its lineage in the series, and I just love that. Look at that. I mean, I just love when I can set up these juggle combos, though I do fail every single combo after like the first one, because like, look at this, boom, bam, pow, and then I try to do the other direction, but like Kaito's just a little bit too locked on the other side there. It's just like so like with all like these choices like this character, with like this game makes with its characters, its storyline, it's like it's aware of its lineage, but it's also adding so much to it. And also like, I mean, even with this final boss fight, you know, we have like we finally have like a shirtless like 1v1 fight like in Yakuza in like a Judgment like, you know, styled game. I mean, this isn't really a Judgment style game. It is. It's got like stuff sections and all that, but it does lean a little bit more towards Yakuza because like Kaito is kind of like that old school Yakuza. I mean, Yagami is like, you know, a detective. You know, he's been in the rougher parts of town, but like, I mean, Kaito's been in that business. He's been Yakuza-ing around, as they say. No one says that. Also love this guy's white aura. I mean, like, it kind of looks like Aizawa's. No, it doesn't. I mean, Aizawa has like a white-pink aura, so they both have like white auras. They're both like shirtless, like beatdowns. It's just like, I love this final boss. I mean, I don't know how I'd rank it among like all the final boss fights in this series, but like, just what a wonderful final boss this game has. I mean, Lost Judgment has a wonderful final boss, and this like little DLC has a wonderful final boss. I mean, I do wish we got more cool fights in this DLC, but you know, for what it is, this is pretty dope. Now, is it worth $30? Well, I definitely say this story is worth $30. It's just a wonderful story, just, you know, very nice, very cool. I do wish there was like some side content of some sorts. I mean, but like for the most part, this is a main story experience like through and through. Like, I mean, the side content is you have some cats you can collect to get like all the upgrades, and you need to get all the upgrades to fight the secret final boss. I mean, not the secret final boss, but like the secret boss, which you can definitely fight before the final boss, so it's not really the final boss technically. And I will say, my performance here with like the actual final boss is a little messy. I don't know, I'm kind of just going at it after a while. I hope like it's not so messy that it's not stylish anymore. I do hope my performance here is still stylish, but it's just like, this is just so much better than the Majima Saga. Like, the Majima Saga sucked like conceptually and in terms of gameplay. You know, like like, you know, just like clunky gameplay, like, you know, just mid-story. I did not like that at all. But yeah, let me show you this little final dynamic ending.
Kyoya
It was so cool that like the music like synced up perfectly to that final like dynamic ending to that fight. And here is the secret boss. It's just Tetsuo from Lost Judgment, but he has a ton of health. So you need to be fully upgraded to fight this guy. So there is no like, you know, no upgrade like run of this guy. You literally can't fight this guy unless you are fully upgraded. And I'm just gonna take advantage of just how busted you are when you're fully upgraded. Just keep in mind that whenever you activate your extreme heat mode, you deal more damage. So look at this, I'm just like abusing heat actions, I'm going crazy with this guy, like, you know, just like perfectly routing this guy to a science, kind of. And like, I don't really have that much more to say. I love this guy's theme. This guy's theme is amazing. I mean, like, I don't know, the theme they used for Junzo Amon, if that's what he was called. And look at it, so that was such a lucky attack. I mean, the way you do this attack is you have to be running, and the enemy has to be on the ground. But me, I just did a little like turn around, and that was like enough momentum to like do that heat action. Because if you don't build the momentum, then, you know, it's kind of over. And also, I like to mention that the way you do the repel move, it kind of depends from boss fight to boss fight. Because some boss fights, you kind of wait for them to dodge into you, but for other boss fights, you dodge into them. And this guy is a dodge into them sort of guy. You kind of have to like read out the timing. And yeah, whenever the enemy's in agony there, you can do a heat action. And every time like you're like in extreme heat mode and you do this, you deal more damage all in extreme heat mode. And it's just like routing this out, you know, like I entered this fight with my health low because you have to upgrade your health all the way to the max, and when it's all the way to the max, it takes way too long to do that move, which lowers your health to get to the point of red. So I just entered the fight with my health on the red already. And look at that, he's already on his second health bar like that. I just destroyed him like that. And here I'm going to chill with the heat actions and instead try to do some juggles, and I'm going to fail. However, he just kicked that glass, and that was so cool. And I kind of like how I built up the music here, because like now that I'm trying to do some juggles, now the music gets all epic. And here, like, look at this, the camera's like really bad, but... And here's my issue. So, like, usually whenever you fail, you know, a beast juggle like that, you just kind of do the beast juggle away from them. But this guy, I just didn't feel confident enough with this guy, you know? Like, I mean, And here, look at this. This is a perfect juggle, but for some reason, he just flops to the ground. That was my victory. That was like my stylish like takedown I was supposed to do, but for some reason, the video's like, you know what? No, we're not gonna give it to you. And it's just like, I will say, I like how I end the video. I start the video with this outfit, and I end the video with this outfit. I mean, like, not the exact outfit. I mean, when I started this video, I didn't have the hat and the glasses. Like, that was gone from the outfit. But now I have the hat and the glasses. You know, it's like we come full circle in some way. But yeah, thank you for watching. I really enjoyed the Kaito files, and I definitely think you will too. And I will see you all then.